everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. We're actually talking about a pretty serious subject today. Now, here's the thing. I try to keep my channel a little lighthearted. I try to put jokes in here and there, you know what I mean? I try to make it more so just about, my opinion, my experiences with guns, things like that, right? However, when something big like this happens in the news, in the media, it's something that really I have to talk about in a sense. All right. Now, everybody who has been paying attention knows what's going on with Texas. All right. Just to give a short little summary, because I'll be honest, on top of not wanting to go over all the details, I don't have all the details. All right. So don't sit here and say, oh, you're missing shit. Yeah, I openly said I'm missing shit. All right. So no more beating around the bush. Let's get into it. A short summary of what's going on in Texas is within the last 3 years, there have been around, I believe it was 5 million illegal immigrants that have crossed the border. So the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, just pretty much said, fuck this shit. All right. And we're under an invasion, clearly. And, honestly, he's doing it rightfully so. 5 million people illegally unregistered coming into the country in a 3-year time span is insane. Absolutely insane. So let's not even dive into, who's supporting, Texas yet, because you're going to be surprised how large the list is. Honestly, people who watch my channel wouldn't be. Y'all know that something like this is something that needs to be taken pretty seriously. So let's get into it. Essentially, right, after the governor declared that Texas is under invasion, which of course should, be obvious, but that means America is under invasion, he started putting up a lot more precautions in regard to the border. Naturally so, as one does when they see such a high influx of illegals crossing the border. Barbed wire, they start putting containers, like large moving containers out in front of the border. And I mean, hell, I believe it wasn't too long ago, they were reaching thousands of illegals per day crossing the border. Literally on, I think it was day one of having all that up, zero. Like, amazing, right? How when when people who actually give a fuck about the border and what's happening there do their job, that it gets done properly. We're seeing a big change in numbers. Now, I'm sure some of y'all are wondering, oh, well, Mark, this is really, Second Amendment channel. Why is this so important? Well, the Biden administration isn't liking the fact that Texas has basically just said, no, we're not dealing with this bullshit of illegals crossing our border anymore. They have a problem with it. They have a problem with, Texas securing the borders. Why? I know why. Everybody knows why. The truth of the matter is that they simply just want to influx our country with so many illegals that, and guess what? When there is a matter of time for rebellion, all they have are a bunch of illegals who they're like, hey, yeah, you can do whatever you want here. We're not going to arrest you. We're not going to do anything anyway. So we're not worried about you. When we try taking over as a government, we're not going to worry about you guys. We don't care about you guys. We're the ones who are letting you in. It's everyone else who we're going to sit here and worry about. The people that have basically built this fucking country. All right. Let's be honest here. We can sit here and make the arguments. Oh, yeah, well, the people nowadays didn't necessarily build the country. No, we withhold the country. We keep the country moving. All right. So here's what I'm going to say. The Biden administration has essentially declared that they're going to try to, I believe it was, I can't remember what phrasing they used, but they were essentially going to try to send in, they're going to try to send in the feds into Texas, is the best way of putting it. Now, Texas has simply just told them to go suck a dick. They didn't give a single fuck about what the Biden administration said. The Biden administration gave them a time frame to take down the barbed wire. Why would you want the barbed wire taken down? What purpose does taking down the barbed wire bring other than making it easier for illegals to cross the border? The barbed wire doesn't pose any safety concern to Americans and people who are supposed to be here, because they're not trying to, I hate to break this to you guys. All right. I can't believe I'm having to say this out loud. All right, people who live in America are not trying to crawl over the wall to get into Mexico. I can guarantee you that. I can't believe I'm having to say that out loud. And guys, I'm speaking as somebody who who knows a bunch of people from Mexico. I know a bunch of people from varying different countries. All of them say America's number one. All right. Two, this is coming from somebody who has visited Mexico personally. I visited a nice spot in Mexico. All right. I went to Cozumel. It still ain't worth it. That ain't shit compared to America. All right. You know what I mean? The Americans are not trying to crawl over, the border to get into Mexico or any of these other countries. All right. That's not happening. That's the truth of the matter here. However, we're seeing illegals get boats in, fucking go through the border, do any way they can get into our country illegally. They are taking those measures. Why? Because America is that fucking great. That's why it needs to be protected as much as it is, and that's why it's a great thing that Texas is doing what they're doing. All right? America needs to be protected like Texas is protecting Texas. All right? Now, with that being said, as I said, the Biden administration is not super happy about it. All right? With them being as pissed as they are, they tried giving a deadline for when Texas was to take down the razor wire or the barbed wire, however you want to phrase it. That's on you. They told them to go suck a dick, and then the Biden administration is like, "Oh, okay, how about this? We'll give you an extension. You can keep it up until this day." Texas is still telling them to go suck a dick. I mean, at least I haven't heard any update as far as Texas bending the knee to them, which I don't think they're going to. Now, with that being said, some of y'all might be wondering, oh, well, this is the federal government that, against one state, oh my God, the state's going to get absolutely obliterated. Not in any way, shape, or form. First off, let's ignore the fact that we're talking about Texas. All right, let's ignore that for just 1 minute. All right, and everybody who knows a single fucking thing about Texas knows why that's a big deal in this case. All right, so let me put it like this. All right, yes, while the federal government does have military forces, state governments also have their National Guards, which are very highly funded and very well trained. Now, with that being said, let's say even the state's guard, all that shit it turns on the American people. All right, we're talking about Texas. We are talking about Texas, guys. I hate to break this to you guys. I'm damn near convinced there are vending machines in Texas that sell guns, and I want to get one from there. But that's not the point. The point of the matter is that we are talking about Texas. All right, let's be real here. A majority of the firearms in our country are in Texas, and then another majority are down here where I'm at in Florida. All right. Like we're not talking about some little weak state with a bunch of little pussies that are not going to stand up for their freedom. Texans love Texas. All right. So look, it's funny as hell because I'm a Floridian. I'm an open advocate for do not fuck with Florida. If you fuck with Florida, you're gonna meet Florida man, and Florida man varies from a lot of shit. But you don't fuck with Texas. Everybody knows that. You don't fuck with Texas. All right. Now, with that being said, with everything that's going on, there are several states that are supporting Texas. Several. All right. The state I live in, Florida, is one of them. Our governor, Ron DeSantis, actually has stated that he is willing to send in the Florida National Guard to assist. You know what I mean? So I'm not too concerned with anything happening as far as the Biden administration or the feds going down to Texas and causing problems, because in all reality, I don't think they would get too far. And, some people can say, oh, you're just being a little cynical. This is the federal government we're talking about. That does not matter. That does not matter. It does not matter if it is the federal government. All these people are people just like we are people. Okay? Now, here's the thing, is that you send the feds to Texas, and once again, this is all if the Texas National Guard and all the other states' National Guards that are agreeing and siding with Texas on this just all magically turn on the people, on the citizens. You still have all the citizens that are going to fight. Now, if I'm not mistaken, like the population of Texas is somewhere around like 25 million, somewhere around there. Let's even lowball it and say, I don't know, 20 million. All right. We can lowball even further if you want to. It doesn't. I mean, it changes how big the number is, obviously, but the even 1% of that is still such a high number to to have. Like, even if 1% of the citizens of 20 million people, that is 200,000 citizens that are armed and ready to fight for their freedom. That is not a small army by any standard. That what? 200,000 people. All right. And once again, that's just out of Texas itself. All right. I guarantee you, if all the National Guards and the federal government was turning on the American people, I mean, I doubt that they would just keep it to the American people in Texas. So I probably can say without a shadow of a doubt that more Americans will show up to help the Texans. All right. So we're not even counting all the other state citizens that will go to Texas and help if the federal government and the state governments all turn on their people. All right, we're just Texas alone. That is 200,000 people with just 1% of their population. Now, once again, I may be a little bit mistaken on the numbers here as far as their population goes, but I believe it's somewhere around 20 million. I could be wrong, but come on, like, let's think about this here. All right. In all reality, what Texas is doing is they're securing our borders. All right. I'm hearing shit about fucking people talking about illegal aliens becoming police officers here in America. Not them going through the process, becoming legal, and then, going through the academy and all this other shit. No, just illegals being police officers here. I didn't get a chance to look too much into that, but when I'm seeing shit like that, that's how, we should all know that this has gone a good fucking bit too far. All right. Texas is saying, fuck that, we're done with this shit. And they're not wrong. They have no reason to hold back on that. Rightfully so. They're like, nah, if you genuinely believe that Texas is in the wrong for this, I need some form of evidence. Because here's the thing. I will be the first person to say it, because here's the truth of the matter. My dad, I can English. My dad's side of the family, all right, didn't always live in America. All right. They did not always live in America, as of a majority of people's families in this nation. We're not always Americans. All right. However, what happened? There was a process that was done to become an American citizen. That process would be taken and completed, and then they would start their new lives in America, have their families, own homes, essentially live the American dream. And once then on, after their child was born in America, their children are American citizens. That part everybody knows. Now, we're not going to discuss whether or not I agree on that, because personally, I also see a lot of loopholes in that, including immigrants coming over the border, giving birth, so that way then they have to stay because their child is an American citizen and someone needs to take care of the child. And the government doesn't want to sit here and say, oh, yeah, well, we'll spend the money to take care of this child. Instead, they'll just say, hey, we'll just spend the money for some reason, which will be a million times more, to house you, feed you and the child, and take care of everything else while you don't have to work. Yeah, look, it may sound like I'm going on a rant here. However, I feel very, I'm trying to think of the word here. I feel very, highly about this. My opinions on this are not something that's really going to bend or break. Like, Texas is doing the 100% right thing here. All right. The simple matter of fact is that what happens when a country is formed? All right. And you know what? Actually, let's forget about that. Let's forget about that entirely. Let's forget about that. Here's a perfect example. I believe it was during the 2020 riots when there was a city that was completely taken over by quote unquote peaceful protesters. Do you know what the first thing they did? The first thing they did was set up strict borders with ID. And hold on top of that, they also set up an armed police force. The second that they took the town over, while peacefully protesting. You're shitting me. You're come on. There's no way right now. You don't see a little hypocrisy there. And for those of y'all who genuinely think that there is no issue with the border, or that, oh, borders are just imaginary lines, man, all that fucking hippie bullshit, let me ask you this. Y'all didn't seem to think that way when y'all were bitching and moaning about Kyle Rittenhouse crossing state lines. You guys didn't seem to care about that. You guys seem to sit here and, not have the same fucking opinion of, oh, well, a border is just an imaginary line. I can just draw this line and that's a border right here. Okay, well, it's imaginary. Okay, you didn't seem to fucking agree with that when Kyle Rittenhouse crossed state lines. You guys accuse him of purposely doing that to cause trouble then. So why are we not looking at the same way for these illegals crossing our border? Why are we to believe that they're only to be here to, live a good life? Now, I'm not saying that all of them are here to cause problems. I am in no way, shape, or form saying that. I know people who literally, when I was in elementary school, some of my best friends looked at me and they're like, yeah, my parents are not legal. And, I don't know why they would ever tell their friend that, because I was 10, you know what I mean? If anybody knows anything about 10-year-olds, is that all they do is fucking talk. But the whole point is that I really don't give a fuck about the people who are sitting here. I don't give a fuck that there are going to be people who are trying to do good. I don't care about them, because here's the truth of the matter, is that those people who are actually trying to do good, they're going to go through the process of being legal. There are exceptions where there are like temporary visas, and that gives you time to sit there and go through the process of becoming an actual naturalized American citizen. All right. And as a matter of fact, a majority of those people who I know, their family members did become American citizens. They were on visa. So technically they were legal, but they're not 100% citizens. So, they were kids. Everybody was kids at the time. They didn't know how to exactly say, yeah, well, they got a visa. So, they didn't get that. My whole point is simply that we can't sit here and just assume that everybody who's going to come over, across this border is going to do good, right? I'm going to use the left's logic against them. If we can't assume that, people who are crossing the border are crossing to do good things, whether it's a state line or a country's border, why in the flying fuck would we not try to secure it? Tell me, why in the flying fuck would we not try to secure our border, seeing, and we don't even have to think, seeing that a majority of people who are crossing our borders illegally are coming over committing crimes, they're coming over bringing drugs, they're coming over doing some horrific shit. Why in the flying fuck would we not want to tighten our borders? Look, I think that about wraps it up for this video. I don't want to keep going in circles here, but long story short, Texas is 100% in the right. I don't care what any one of y'all say. Texas is 100% in the right for tightening down the borders and telling the Biden administration to go piss off, because they're not going to do shit to help get this handled. It is seeing such high numbers. It is insane. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And because you agree with me, Texas is 100% in the right for this shit. Go ahead and make sure to check out all my other videos. I'll make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.